What's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. This channel is for anybody who feels down and out and hopeless and depressed and fucked up and insecure and broke and weak and fat and ugly and all of those things that you are not. I was once all of those things. I was hit by a firecracker when I was a little kid. I was 10 years old, watching a neighborhood fireworks show, and my neighbors took this shit very seriously, and they would drive and they would buy the illegal ones, and they would, put off the kind that fireworks shows put off, the real ones. And I was this little kid sitting in the front row, like a goofy, dorky, little giddy-ass kid at a fireworks show. And one of their last fireworks was one of their climactic ones. And it was so big that it came with a launch tube. And after this thing was lit, the fucking launch tube tipped over and it shot directly at me. Out of 100 people, 50 people or so, I was blasted. And this fucked me up pretty good. I had to get helicoptered to a burn specialist because the local hospital couldn't even handle my shit. This fucked me up more emotionally than physically. This led to a lot of anxiety, social anxiety, insecurity, shame about my body. I have scars on my stomach, my arm. I got a nice tattoo. You can't see the scars anymore, but it fucked me up. And when I was 18 years old, for the first time, I found relief from all those emotions, all those anxieties. And I found relief, unfortunately, in drugs, heroin to be exact. And once I discovered my cure, there was no real way. It was so hard for me to stop, because every time I would try to stop, not only was there the ridiculous physical addiction that comes with heroin addiction, but all those emotions that I lived with for so long that were finally gone, they came back. The heroin wasn't really working. It was a temporary fix. So this addiction, which I could not let go of because I just explained, the emotions were too much to bear, which is the case with anybody with an addiction. It started leading to consequences. I started to lose everything. I lost my friends, lost my job. I lost the respect and just respect of my family. I lost my self-respect. I lost my feeling, my sense of being a human being. I became literally a hollow shell that was completely accepting of the fact that I believed I was going to die at a very young age, and I was so numb and so fucked up I did not give a shit. And then I had this experience in rehab. So when you're coming off of heroin, there really is no possibility of you sleeping a wink for like a week. Okay, so I want to preface this story with that. So I was in like my third or fourth rehab, and at that point I had realized that I couldn't really quit. I wanted to quit all those other times and I couldn't, because here I was back in the same fucking situation, same old song and dance. And I was sitting at the edge of my bed, and at that time I was a young guy, as I mentioned. I didn't have any faith in anything, no faith in a higher power or anything like that. My parents never took me to church or anything. And there was this preacher guy in the rehab, and one of the guys giving what they called a didactic. It's what they call when they give a lecture about your drug addiction. And this guy was he was like one of those hippo Christian motherfuckers who thought he knew everything. Thought his God was, trailed around in his back pocket telling him, divine little messages to tell everybody. And I was so annoyed with this guy. I was arguing with him the whole time. I was pissed off. I was coming off my drugs. It was my first day. I was getting sick, nose running. I'm feeling like my body aching. And when I got to my room, that anger turned into just utter sadness. I was so sad and so broken, so helpless. I felt like I wanted to just die. I just wanted to jump out the fucking window. I had nothing left. I had no will to fight. And yet my life was so miserable. And I started saying, motherfucker. I started yelling at God. I said, fuck you. You leave me in this situation. You do this to me. And where the fuck were you? That kind of thing. I was like, motherfucker. I was yelling at him. Whatever. Anyway, what happened next, I don't know. All I know is that I woke up the next day having slept for like a full night, which is a miracle in and of itself. But it was not really a dream. It was like I went somewhere. What I experienced was like what happens to people when they have a near-death experience. I felt like I traveled somewhere. I don't remember like the transition. I was just sitting there one moment, and the next moment I'm in this like heavenly realm. The best way I would call it, and I call it a heavenly realm because it had a quality about it, a quality of love. The place, everything about it was oozing with love. I could feel it. It pierced my soul. I can't even really talk about it without getting choked up because it was a degree and level of love that is not really, I've not yet experienced on sense. And there was this angel, whether it's a projection of my mind, I don't care. It was an angel, and it came over to me and it hugged me. And when it hugged me, I felt like I knew what I was. I knew that I was a soul. I was a spirit in reality, and that this realm was like my home. This is like where I came from. I was actually from this divine place. And this angel took me under its wing, literally and figuratively, and it kind of took me around in its, it took me to different points of my life, like in the past, and I was able to see these situations from an outside perspective. Like I was just watching myself, my former self, in this past experience, and I got to see it with a divine, an expanded insight, and I saw the folly of my ways. I saw how the degenerates I was hanging around with. I used to hang out in the fucking dungeons of Detroit with fucking crackheads, and I saw that these people were not my friends. These were fucking leeches, and I just saw the error of my ways. I saw how it was affecting people. And the message of the dream, I don't need to get any more specifics, was that this needs to stop. You are not meant to do this. You're done. And this exists. Here we are. So go back into your life and clean up your fucking act. So that's what I did. It wasn't easy. I woke up and I was, what the fuck? I wrote it all down. That's how I remember it so clearly. I have only told this story to a few people. But the ones I've told have seemed to have gotten a great impact from it. That's why I wanted to share with you guys in my intro video. But ever since that night, I haven't lost touch with my spiritual quality. And I'm not here to talk about religion or anything like that. I'm talking about self-empowerment, overcoming addictions, because I was able to do that. I got clean when I was 19 years old. I'm 31 now. And almost everybody that I ended up in this halfway house in Boca Raton, Florida, called the Boca House. And there was about 300 people. That was at the capacity. And these are some of the most fucked up, scary, mangly motherfuckers you've ever seen. These were hardcore people. And I thought I was a badass. I was this 18-year-old kid. I used to hang out in Detroit. I thought I was tough shit. But when I got here, I realized I was a scared little boy. I had no real confidence. I had nothing. I was at a ground zero for myself. But I had this connection, this inner compass that just kind of always would let me know when the times I needed it, that it was going to be okay. And it was. Most of the people I hung around with when I was in that Boca House died or were arrested. I watched someone overdose and die right in front of me. One of the kids, he threw himself in front of a train. Actually, he laid down in front of a train, 18-year-old kid. So what I had accomplished, I came to understand, was very rare. Most people who became heroin addicted, they don't make it. They die, or they end up in jail, or they end up living out a miserable, awful, god-awful existence. And that kind of got me inspired to want to help people. But I outgrew this program I was in. I got sick of all the addiction dogma and all the bullshit. And I just kind of knew that I was able to do this without any of the help anymore. And I did. I learned that the key to success in anything is being honest with yourself and addressing core limitations and issues and fears and anxieties and emotional traumas within yourself, because those things are what hold you back from having the hot wife all the, a loving family, material abundance, financial freedom, the ability to experience joy and excitement in your life, the ability to have a nice, ripped, strong, attractive physique, the ability to have passion and purpose in your life, the ability to be free from the 9-to-5 grind that most people find themselves enslaved to. All of that is possible. And I learned this at a young age because I knew if I could beat this addiction, then when it came to becoming a personal trainer, that was easy. When it came to starting my own business, that was like, it was hard, but I knew, I had learned that I had what it takes to accomplish things that most people give up on. And that's what I want to help you all with. I want to help you reach your potential. I have my own unique ways of doing it. I've learned to conquer myself through fitness and meditation and yoga and raising my consciousness, raising my intuition, raising my vibration, using the law of attraction, positive thinking. That all works. It all works if you declutter yourself of the bullshit that you've been hanging on to that holds you back. I have ways to help you with that too. I've done all that. I've done everything I've really set out to do, and I'm not done. This is my next endeavor. I want to help people now because there were people along the way to help me. And in a lot of situations, there actually weren't. There weren't that many people to help me, quite frankly. There were some, but in a lot of situations I found myself in, there was not people. I want to be that person to help people like my former self who, when in certain specific situations, there was no help. When I had my spiritual awakening, that's another thing I went through about 7 years ago. And what that really, all that means is your spirit self, what's really inside, starts to like make itself known, you could say. It's like we're living in this like dualistic experience where we have our mind, our personality, who we think we are. My name is Victor. I was a gym owner and a medical marijuana grower and an entrepreneur, and I have a family, and blah, blah, blah. I am. There's that. And then there's what we are beneath that, our eternal essence, which is actually, and it does exist. I'm proof of that. I experienced that. That, which what we actually are, starts to kind of come up into our, and like merge with our personality self. And as that happens, it pushes all of our karmic issues, all of our emotional traumas, all that shit I was talking about earlier, all those things that are holding you back from being your unrestricted soul self embodied in the physical form, you start to purge that. And that's a very dramatic experience. That manifests in a lot of fucked up ways. There's a lot of shit that goes along with that when it started to happen to me, I didn't know what the fuck was happening to me. And we're at a time right now where a lot of people are starting to go through that and will start to go through that more and more and more and more. And there's not that, there's not a lot, there's not as much as there should be out there to help people with that in a really practical way. You can go to church, you can go to a yoga class. There's all these little sects that have their associated dogmas and rigidness with it. I want to just represent a complete freedom of expression of all this, my own practical, unique take on this process of self-development, self-unfoldment, so that you can have, again, the killer body, the money, the hot wife, the hot husband, whatever it is. Okay, it's all possible. You can have that. It doesn't matter where you are. It does not matter where you are. It does not matter what disadvantages you think you have. It doesn't matter that you don't have any money. It doesn't matter that you can't read. It doesn't matter that you can't write. It doesn't matter that you don't have any education. It doesn't matter, because you can do it. Anyone can do it. And I am living proof, and I'm here to prove that to you. Because you know what? We need you. We need you to come into your own power so you can help the next person. And then that person can help the next person, and we could finally change this world that everyone just sits and fucking complains about. Okay? I feel I've expressed myself sufficiently in this video. That's what this channel is about. You're going to learn about how to get ripped, how to get strong. Again, I was a personal trainer for 10 years. You're going to learn how to be an entrepreneur and have the balls to go after your passions, because I've done that too. You're going to learn how to improve yourself to a degree that you naturally attract beautiful, loving, intelligent, vibrant women. You're going to declutter your emotional baggage to an extent that you actually start to attract joyful, pleasant, exciting, fun, and interesting experiences into your world. Your day-to-day life can shift in ways that you can't even begin to fathom with your limited physical mind. Okay? And I need you. The world needs you to get your shit together. Come on, pony up. Get going on this. I'll help you with this. I'll help you with all of that. That's what this channel is about. I've gotten myself to a place of stability and freedom, basically, where I don't really have a job. I don't have a job in the conventional sense. And therefore, I can make a lot of these videos and make a lot of these cool blog posts that will help people like you, okay? But I need you to pay it forward and help other people. Come into your power and help the next person, and that's how this thing works. Peace.